singing of our national anthem, and afterwards remain standing for our invocation to be offered by Reverend William Fitzgerald, pastor, St. Philip Church, Battle Creek, Michigan.
We salute you, Lord, God of our yesterdays, our leader, our teacher, our wise Father. It is you who guide our quest for learning, who take us where we need to be, to meet each other, to understand ourselves, to form our life's alliances, to prepare ourselves for the life of service that awaits us. We greet you, Lord, light of our tomorrows, our beacon, our voice of truth, our belief in the capacity of a people well prepared to create a world respectful of differences, filled with opportunities, enlightened by hope. We come before you, Lord, God of this day. We greet you with joyful hearts, in color, in history, in pageantry, in ceremony. We rejoice with Jim and Rachel and the friends and family assembled here, and with this delightful new family at Northern Kentucky University. Lord, may your Spirit be their inspiration in their work together, all of them. May your eternal zeal be their energy. May your best hope be accomplished in the loyal and loving service of this administration. Come this day, be with us, Lord, and stay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Poston, and on behalf of the entire Board of Regents, the entire university community, I welcome you to the celebration and installation. Have a seat, please. Installation of our fourth president. And I must say we have much to celebrate, not only at Northern Kentucky University, but in this area of the Commonwealth. We enjoy a prosperous and economically driven economy. We have financial and employment opportunity. We have commerce. We celebrate an extraordinary and fine institution that's accessible to our community. and we celebrate the link between our economic growth and this institution. We also celebrate what I like to call the codependence between our community and this institution. 88% of our students come from the greater Cincinnati and northern Kentucky area. It has long been a productive and mutually beneficial relationship. It is something that affects every family in the northern Kentucky area. We also would like to celebrate our other assets. They include a hardworking and dedicated faculty. The faculty is the front line of communication between this institution and its most prized resource, our students. We have a loyal and dedicated staff, and I can tell everyone in the auditorium that being a regent, I know that the staff of this university has greater financial opportunity at other locations. But often they stay here because they're dedicated to the mission and the objectives of this institution. We celebrate an administration that will work for excellence. That is its goal. We also celebrate an administration that's really put in some overtime lately and will do so in the future. We celebrate, most appropriately for today, leadership. We have leadership that will accept nothing less than excellence. And everyone knows it's been involved in any kind of commercial enterprise or business endeavor. When there is leadership at the top that will accept nothing less than excellence, it permeates the entire institution or organization. And we have that at Northern Kentucky University. We also celebrate something that's kind of unique because it's been our handicap over our history, and that is our youth. I say that because right now, one of the most dynamic industries of all industries is higher education. It is changing, it's challenging, not just in the Commonwealth, not just here in Northern Kentucky, but in the nation and across the globe. Our youth may turn out to be our asset to lead, to create, to innovate higher education. I say that because we are agile and we are flexible. That is an advantage of our youth. I also say that for academia, this is a celebration of history, tradition, and the significance of the presidency. For those in the procession whose life work is higher education, this is indeed a grand day. Today's processional was led by our Grand Marshal, Dr. James E. McKinney, Professor of Mathematics and the longest-serving faculty member at this institution. Following Dr. McKinney were representatives of the NKU faculty, students and staff, and representatives of various NKU organizations. The second contingent in the processional is comprised of delegates representing sister institutions and learned societies. They entered the hall according to the date of their institution's charter. These range from Harvard University, chartered in 1636, to the Kentucky Advanced Technology Institute, founded in 1987. The concluding contingent of the processional is the Platform Party, whom I will now introduce. I will ask each member of the Platform Party to stand, and please hold your applause because there's many of us. Mr. Leo Calderon, Executive Assistant to the President. Ms. Elizabeth Blinko, Legal Counsel. Dr. William Nestor, Vice President, University Relations. Dr. Norlene Pomerantz, Vice President, Student Affairs. Ms. Carla Chance, Vice President, Administration. Dr. Paul Gaston, Executive Vice President and Provost. Dr. J. Thomas Isherwood, Dean, College of Professional Studies. Dr. Rogers Redding, Dean, College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Lowell F. Schechter, Associate Dean, Chase College of Law. Ms. Sandra Easton, Acting Dean, College of Business. Mr. William Lamb, Dean of Students. Mr. Elsie Barker, Director, Office of the Budget. Ms. Cheryl Nunez, Director, Affirmative Action and Multicultural Affairs. Ms. Cheryl Torline, President, Staff Congress. Dr. Charles Frank, President, Faculty Senate. Mr. Thomas Donnelly, President, NKU Alumni Council. Dr. Leon Booth, President Emeritus, Northern Kentucky University. Dr. A.D. Albright, President Emeritus, Northern Kentucky University. Dr. W. Frank Steele, former President, Northern Kentucky University. Dr. Ralph A. Tessinier, former Interim President, Northern Kentucky University. Mr. Jack M. Moreland, former Interim President, Northern Kentucky University. Mr. J. Kenneth Walker, Chief Operating Officer, Council on Post-Secondary Education. Ms. Peggy Bertelsman, Member of the Board, Council on Post-Secondary Education. Mr. Chris Saunders, Student Regent. Ms. Martha Malloy, Staff Regent. Mr. Barry Anderson, Faculty Regent. Mr. Kenneth R. Lucas, Regent Emeritus. Mr. John R.S. Brooking, Regent Emeritus. Mr. Kenneth Harper, President, Northern Kentucky University Foundation. Dr. James McKinney, Professor of Mathematics and today's Grand Marshal. Mr. Robert W. Zapp, Regent. I think it's appropriate to mention he was Chairman of the Presidential Search Committee. Ms. Karen W. Bearden, Regent. Mr. William G. Verst, Regent. Mr. Philip Tulliver III, Regent. Mr. Frank K. Downing, Vice Chair, Northern Kentucky University Board of Regents. Dr. James C. Votruba, President, Northern Kentucky University. The Honorable Paul Patton, Governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Dr. Clifton R. Wharton, Jr., Member of Board of Directors, New York Stock Exchange, Harcourt General, Tenneco, Inc. Reverend William Fitzgerald, pastor of St. Philip Church, Battle Creek, Michigan. Please join me in welcoming our platform party.
Remember my
That is indeed tough to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker. And I want to start by saying this. When you decide to run for an elected position, you by definition become a politician. And that always doesn't carry the best connotation with it. But when you approach, and you're elected, and you approach your service, and you do so with vision, a sense of duty, and perhaps most importantly, courage, you by definition become a statesman. To the benefit of everyone in this auditorium and every citizen of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, our governor is a statesman. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Kentucky's higher education governor, the Honorable Paul Patton.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. You honor me with such a warm reception. And you honor me by asking me to be a part of this changing of the guard at Northern Kentucky University. The university is both the citadel of knowledge, the protector of truth, and the source of new knowledge that will bring about change. So the university is the epitome of change. And if we're going to have a more progressive society, we have to embrace change. Certainly, we must protect the institutions and the knowledge and the truth of the past while we pursue the enlightening new knowledge of the future through change. In ancient China, an emperor, once preparing to lead the nation in a celebration of a momentous event in the kingdom, wanted to make a speech that would be remembered through the ages. And he summoned all the wise men of the nation, the philosophers and the learned scholars, and he charged them to come up with a statement that would always be true. A statement that no matter what happened would always be true under any and all circumstances. And the scholars of the nation pondered and discussed and for several weeks tried to figure out what was it that they could talk to the emperor about that would always be true. And finally, they summoned the emperor and they said, "We have found the statement that through all time and on all ages will be true." And he eagerly awaited their presentation and said, "What is it? What could possibly always be true?" And it was the very simple statement that, "And this too will change." And that is the nature of life, is change. And that's the opportunity and the challenge that we in higher education in this state, indeed this nation, are very fortunate to be able to face. I believe that we are in the midst of a sea change in higher education in this world. And we in Kentucky and you here at Northern Kentucky University have an almost unprecedented opportunity, if only we will be brave enough to take advantage of it. Let me liken it to things that have happened in the past in another area which is a constant part of the human experience, and that is transportation. Transportation and education have, since the beginning of time, been and will continue to be a continuing part of the human experience. And for the greater part of recorded history, water transportation was the primary mode. And then in the beginning of the 18th century, a thing called rail came into being. And some people tried to hang on to water. And some people could not see the future in rail and opposed the change, the paradigm shift that was inevitably occurring because the need and the technology was there. Now, our world, the civilization didn't reject water transportation, but they added a new dimension. And then another paradigm shift occurred in transportation, and that was land transportation as the automobile and airplanes began to evolve because of necessity and technical ability. And some people resisted that and tried to hang on to railroads. Now, we didn't reject railroads, but we added a new dimension to that human experience, that vital part of the human experience with transportation. Well, I believe that we're in the midst of that kind of a sea change in higher education. For all of recorded history, education has been primarily one individual in face-to-face confrontation with another individual transmitting knowledge in the traditional classroom. And we will never reject that. And that will always be a vital part of our educational system. And our traditional college and university will always be a fundamental part. But there is another element of education that is developing, and that is distance learning through technology. And it's inevitable, and it will happen no matter what we do. The only question is, will we be a part of it? And I know with the leadership of President Votruba that Northern Kentucky University will be a part of that and a leader in that. And that is why that this occasion is so auspicious for this institution and for this Commonwealth. A friend of mine recently told me that we have a choice. We can make things happen, we can watch things happen, or we can wonder what happened. Well, I know that Dr. Votruba is going to make things happen at Northern Kentucky University, and Northern Kentucky University is going to make things happen in this great Commonwealth. Thank you so much, and Godspeed to all of you.
Thank you, Governor. It is now my honor and pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Clifton R. Wharton. He is a noted economist, educator, business executive, and former Deputy Secretary of State. From 1987 to 1993, he was Chairman and Chief Executive of TIAA-CREF, the largest pension fund in the world with assets of $200 billion. He was also President of the Michigan State University from 1970 to 78, and was Chancellor of the State University of New York from 1978 to 1987. And I understand in that system he had some 64 institutions under his control and guidance. In his career, he has held appointments under 6 presidents on numerous commissions, programs, boards, and presidential missions. He currently is a director of the New York Stock Exchange, Harcourt General, and Tenneco, Inc., and has served as a trustee and chairman of the Rockefeller Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Clifton R. Wharton.
Thank you very much, Chairman Poston, Reverend clergy, Reverend Fitzgerald, members of the Board of Regents, Governor Patton, great governor. I like that statesman part. That was It's wonderful. Members of the faculty, staff, students, alumni, and ladies and gentlemen, but above all, the new President Votruba. I was especially honored to have been asked to give these brief remarks at the installation of my good friend, James Votruba, and to visit your fine campus here at Northern Kentucky University. Jim, everything that you told me about NKU, and I'm sure that you were not being prejudiced, is undoubtedly true. It does offer a marvelous array of programs and has tremendous potential to influence the educational environment of the area that it serves. For some 45 years, I've been directly involved in or closely associated with higher education. I suppose the years identify me as, if not an elder statesman, then at least an elder. But there is something about working in the field of education that keeps you young. I've long since lost track of the thousands of students that I have seen cross the stage at the myriad commencements that I have presided over or attended. But seeing their faces and sharing in their triumph each and every time is an exhilarating experience and is one that never dulls. In working with these young men and women, first for me in Southeast Asia, and then for many years in the United States, there is one aspect of the experience that I believe delights me above all, and that is helping to identify and encourage, during their undergraduate and graduate years, those special students of outstanding ability, and then watching with pride as they steadily rise to positions of greater and greater responsibility, that which fulfills their early promise. Such a person, for me, is your new president, James Votruba. I first met Jim not long after I became president at Michigan State University in 1970. He was then completing his master's degree after receiving his bachelor degree also at Michigan State. Those of you who were here around the campuses in the States in those days will recall that those were very trying and difficult days in American higher education. The emotional turbulence over the Vietnam War had brought bloodshed at Kent State and Jackson State, and outbursts on our own campus. Students were leading the opposition to the U.S. involvement in the war, not always rationally or peacefully, and the turmoil profoundly affected the day-to-day life of the university. Yet, in the midst of the tumult, the marches and demonstrations, and sometimes the violent and pungent smell of tear gas, it was my job as president to keep the university open, to fulfill my oath of responsibility to the people of Michigan, to the parents, to the faculty, and above all to the 46,000 MSU students, to continue to provide the finest opportunities for education that we could devise. Part of that job, as I saw it, was to try to identify those students whom I believed had the special attributes to become future leaders in education and in other walks of a civil society, and to provide whatever support I could that would lead to that desired end. Toward that goal, I secured a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation to establish a unique program of presidential fellows. Those persons selected were to work closely with me over a 5 to 9 month period. During that time, they would learn virtually all aspects of my duties as president, both academic and administrative. Jim Votruba was one of those presidential fellows selected for the class of 1972. At that time, Jim was a doctoral candidate in administration of higher education, and he had impressed the selection committee with his vision regarding the future direction of higher education. For my part, Jim's keen interest in the then newly emerging area of lifelong education made him especially attractive. Jim more than fulfilled my expectations, and I particularly benefited from his labors and wise counsel in my efforts to establish a commission on lifelong education, whose aim was to reformulate and expand Michigan State's historic excellence in outreach programs to meet the new constituencies of the older adult requiring constant renewal of knowledge and skills so that they could stay current, or of adult women who were then just beginning to enter the workplace in growing numbers. Now, 25 years ago, the notion of professional and technological obsolescence requiring constant lifelong educational renewal due to the explosion of knowledge was a new idea. And Jim Votruba was a young acolyte who absorbed and contributed to its early development. After Jim secured his doctorate in higher education administration, his subsequent career clearly shows how he used those skills to develop and lead continuing and lifelong education programs elsewhere. Now, without my knowledge or intervention, he became Dean of the School of Education and Human Development at the State University of New York campus at Binghamton, where he made a major contribution, and ending, by the way, as interim provost and vice president for academic affairs. And then I was especially delighted when he returned to MSU in 1989 as vice provost for university outreach. President Votruba's recent first State of the University address here at NKU provides a strong indication of the influence this experience has had on him. Whatever the task, he will approach it with creativity and boldness and ask it of others. As he takes over the helm of this university, President Votruba begins his tenure with what appear to me to be three powerful assets. First, there is his own base of academic and administrative experience that is a superb match for this university. Coupled with his innate ability to lead and impart his vision, it is clear that they have uniquely qualified James Votruba to mobilize the university for the future. Second, he takes over a university that has built its reputation in the liberal arts, education, sciences, business, and the law. Rethinking their mission, who they serve, and how will be an exciting and rewarding quest. Finally, and I cannot overemphasize the importance of this, you have a governor and a legislature who recognize the vital need of post-secondary education in Kentucky's future. And that recognition recently has been backed up in the only meaningful way with major new funding. And I congratulate you, Governor. Unfortunately, this is not the general pattern among other states. Across the United States, many states are cutting back, especially as federal funds dry up. Other states seem to have forgotten what a tremendous asset their colleges and universities are. They only see the dollar savings in the short range, forgetting that what they do now will or could damage their institutions far into the future. The cost in the loss of top-notch faculty, neglected research and discoveries, not made and may never be made up. It is only when higher education is seen as an investment, not as a luxury or consumer product, that its full vital potential can be realized. Higher education is the institution which produces the human capital upon which the true wealth of our nation rests. As the dominant force for the discovery and transmission of knowledge, a nation which neglects such an investment does so at its peril. How can we increase this awareness that seems so obvious? Sometimes it takes a major event. At the end of World War II, with millions of servicemen and women returning to civilian life, the GI Bill of Rights was passed. No doubt the greatest piece of education legislation ever adopted. The GI Bill changed the face and character of America forever. Thousands upon thousands were able to access colleges and universities from families who had never before dreamed that it was possible. Its graduates became the backbone of a nation moving into economic and political world leadership. Sometimes we can be scared into taking action. 40 years ago, the Soviet Union's Sputnik soared into orbit and frightened our government into passing the National Defense Education Act so that we would not be eclipsed in the Cold War. What will it take next time? I hope it won't be a war, hot or cold. Right now, the impetus seems more benign. Everyone is focusing on the new millennium as our target of opportunity. We must be prepared for the 21st century, we are told. Frankly, I don't think the turn of a calendar page will make that much difference, but the event has captured the imagination, perhaps because so few people will have lived through two of them. There is nothing wrong with accepting the symbolism of the new century, provided it prods us to expand our vision beyond the immediate concerns, to encompass the kind of world we want our descendants to live in, to find solutions to global environmental degradation, to solve once and for all the problems of hunger and poverty, to shift from ethnic, religious, and racial confrontation and violence to understanding, negotiation, and peaceful accommodation. And we must remember that beyond the computer there is a great world of culture, intellectual stimulation, and compassion that does more than electronic wizardry to define our civilization. In President James Votruba, I believe you have the ideal person to perform that mission for Northern Kentucky University. Let me add here that along with Jim, you have gained a wonderful First Lady for your university. Rachel Votruba will be an exceptional partner with him in this great quest. In addition, she is a professional woman in her own right who cares deeply for the educational future of American youth. Rachel, please stand and accept our congratulations. Together, Jim and Rachel will make a strong team for advancing your university for the rest of this century and well into the next. May I close on a personal note? Jim and Rachel, Dolores and I extend to you both our deep sense of pride in your having achieved this position of excellence. I know that all here today join us in wishing you good luck, great success, as you lead this university into the next century. Congratulations.
I ask Dr. James C. Votruba and the Honorable Paul Patton to approach the podium, please. By the authority granted to the Board of Regents and delegated to me as Chairman of the Board, I am pleased to install you, James C. Votruba, as President of Northern Kentucky University. I present you with this medallion signifying your presidency of this university. On behalf of the Board of Regents, the faculty and staff, and the students of Northern Kentucky University, I offer you our best wishes and our pledge of support for your administration. May you continue to serve this university and its people faithfully and well. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Now, we mustn't use up too much more energy. There's work to be done. Governor Patton, thank you so much for being here. There's not a governor in this nation who is doing more to support higher education today than the governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and we so deeply appreciate you being here. Dr. Wharton, again, as always, thank you so much for being here and for being a mentor for 25 years. Father Fitzgerald, again, for over 40 years, a spiritual father and mentor and friend. Thank you so much. Chairman Poston, members of the Northern Kentucky Board of Regents, faculty, staff, students, alums, honored delegates and friends and family, and particularly my wife, Rachel, who has been a partner of mine and a friend, my best friend, for 28 years. My children, my mother, all of my family who are here tonight. Thank you for joining us. This is not so much, in my view, a celebration of a new president as it is an opportunity to celebrate this fine university, not only what it is today, but what we hope to be tomorrow. Soon after my appointment was announced, last April, I received a 2-sentence welcome letter from Triple Crown winner jockey Steve Cotham, who happens to be also a resident of Northern Kentucky. His message has come to mind several times over the last few months, and I want to repeat it to you. He wrote, "Dear Dr. Votruba, welcome to Kentucky. Your dreams are our hope. Your dreams are our hope." This afternoon, what I'd like to do is share briefly with all of you some of my dreams for Northern Kentucky University and for the community that Rachel and I now call our home. All of us know that this is a time of enormous challenge and opportunity for our university and for all of post-secondary education. It's a time when we must rethink and think anew about our mission, our core values, who we serve, and how we serve them. It's a time for renewal, for realignment, and for recommitment to our fundamental purpose. It's a time to rediscover ourselves and that special relationship that we enjoy with the public that we serve. Today, our colleges and universities are coming under more and more intense public scrutiny than ever before because higher learning is more important today than ever before, and it will continue to drive us. In what many refer to as the knowledge age, access to learning has become not only the primary means for individual improvement, social mobility, and the transmission of civic and cultural values, but also a primary engine for economic competitiveness and quality of life. Today, in every dimension of our civic, social, and economic life, learning has become central to all that we are and to all that we aspire to be. The knowledge age has thrust post-secondary education to the center of the public agenda as never before in our history. The challenge confronting Northern Kentucky University and every other public university in the nation is to respond with agility, with creativity, and with integrity. Today, there is nowhere in this nation that is more forcefully challenging its colleges and universities than the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Last spring, through the leadership of Governor Patton and members of the legislature who are here in this hall today, the public asserted emphatically through the passage of the landmark Post-Secondary Education Improvement Act that if Kentucky is going to be competitive in the 21st century, that 21st century global economy that is knowledge-based, post-secondary education must lead. It must lead. NKU's response to this leadership challenge will be framed by our relationship with the metropolitan region that we serve. Northern Kentucky University is one of approximately 150 uniquely American metropolitan universities located throughout the United States. The term metropolitan university, ladies and gentlemen, is more than a descriptor of geographic location. It is a term that suggests a set of beliefs concerning the social role of the university in modern life. Those beliefs emphasize the instrumental role of the university in fostering the intellectual, economic, social, and civic vitality of this metropolitan region. Metropolitan universities are not simply located in metropolitan areas, they are integral parts of metropolitan life. They see the metropolitan region as representing not only the learning needs, that must be served, but also a powerful source of knowledge and experience that can strengthen, enhance, and enrich every dimension of the university's mission. Some have argued, and I agree, that as we stand poised to enter a new century, metropolitan universities have a special responsibility to lead, Northern Kentucky metropolitan area is the fastest growing area in Kentucky and one of the fastest growing in the nation. It will be a driving force in the economic development of our Commonwealth. The region will also be a place where some of society's most pressing and formidable challenges will be engaged. Challenges related to regional economic growth and development, school improvement, strengthening our families, supporting our most vulnerable, enhancing the quality of our community life, rebuilding our infrastructure, protecting our health, enhancing our civic involvement, and overcoming the long-established barriers based on race and culture and class. These are the challenges that will define the future of this metropolitan region, and I believe that they are the challenges that will define the future of this university. At Northern Kentucky University, our challenge as well as our opportunity is to build a truly 21st century metropolitan university that is distinguished by its alignment with the public whom we serve. It was in this spirit, early this fall, that I asked a panel of faculty, staff, students, and community members to join me in a set of conversations across this campus and throughout the region to more clearly define the university's core values and vision for the future. It is essential for this university, and I believe all universities, to be value-based and vision-driven institutions. It is a shared sense of vision that tells us where we are headed, and it is a shared sense of values that both inform difficult choices and bind us together as a community. Co-chaired by one of our most distinguished professors, Dr. Russell Proctor, our Vision, Values, and Voices panel held over 30 conversations. We met with faculty and staff and students across the campus, and we held conversations in each of the 8 counties served by the university, plus 3 conversations with leaders in Cincinnati. All in all, we listened to the voices of over 600 people as they talked about the future of the university and the metropolitan region. We listened to people talk not only about their hopes for this university, but also their hopes for themselves and for their children and for their community and for the Commonwealth. We heard people from throughout this region describe the university as a place where dreams can come true, where futures can be secured, and where life can be enriched. We heard over and over and over again from both inside and outside this university a pride in what has been accomplished and a hope for what is yet to come. Informed by what we learned from both our campus and our community, let me briefly share my vision for this young and aspiring metropolitan university as we move into the 21st century. My vision, first and foremost, is that we will, in every dimension of our work, be a learner-centered university. Not a teaching-centered university, not a discipline-centered university, not a research or service-centered university, but a university that places the learner at the center of everything that we do. In the most fundamental sense, ladies and gentlemen, this university and all others exist to promote learning. We do so through the discovery of knowledge, through its transmission, and through its application in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in the community. If we are to be truly learner-centered before we make any decision or set any priority, we must ask the following question: what impact will this choice have on our learners? What impact will it have on our learners? If it has no impact, or if it has a negative impact, we have no business doing it. If Northern Kentucky University exists to promote learning, then we must never overlook an opportunity to serve that purpose. Every employee on our campus, and I emphasize every employee on our campus, our faculty members, our administrators, our secretaries, our physical plant employees, our public safety officers, our service staff need to think of themselves as contributing to the learning process and take every opportunity to do so. The opportunity to be a teacher and promote learning will come along at times and in places where it may be least expected. All of us must seize the moment when it presents itself. I've been in this profession, ladies and gentlemen, for nearly 25 years, and I have never been on a campus that is more deeply committed to learners than the campus at which I am now president. We must be learner-centered in all that we do, and this learner-centeredness must be reflected in every aspect of our university, in our mission statement, in our planning and budgeting, in our curriculum, in our faculty and staff recruitment, in our faculty incentive and reward systems, in our professional development, and in the way we describe ourselves to the public. All must be aligned with our focus on the learner. My vision as well is that we will commit ourselves to the highest standards of quality in all that we do, as judged not only by ourselves, but by the public that we serve. This commitment to quality carries with it the responsibility to evaluate our work, to celebrate our successes, and to be honest concerning those areas where we must and can and will improve. Last year, Interim President Moreland created NKU partnerships, which involved teams comprised of both faculty and community representatives who reviewed every department and administrative unit on this campus. Out of this process came recommendations for improvement in both the effectiveness and the efficiency of our campus. It was a process on which we can and we will build. Our commitment to quality should include an emphasis on evaluating the outcomes of our work. What impact have we had on our learners? Do we know what impact we are having on our learners? How are they different? What impact have we had on our community? Are we accomplishing the outcomes that we hope to accomplish and that we say we're accomplishing? The public will demand this form of accountability, and we should demand it of ourselves. My vision is that we will be steadfast in our commitment to providing both access to learning and the opportunity to succeed. Access to learning and the opportunity to succeed. This campus has, since its inception, been committed to providing access to high quality and affordable education. However, in my judgment, it is not sufficient to provide access alone. Equally important is a commitment to ensure that all students are placed in programs where they have the foundation for success. It is wrong to admit students to programs where they lack the self-confidence or skills necessary for success. If we take seriously our commitment to both access and the opportunity to succeed, we will ensure that students who need developmental support receive that support before moving into our regular curriculum. We must develop and implement early warning systems that highlight students who may be falling behind. And we must do all that we can to enrich the freshman experience because we know how critical it is to student retention. In the 21st century Metropolitan University, we must rethink several fundamental questions related to access. They include access to what, access for whom, access where, and access how. The question of access is what forces us to revisit the nature of our curriculum and the learning opportunities that we offer to our students. Our general education curriculum should be more than a collection of courses. It should be characterized by coherence, continuity, and common learning. It should prepare our students for civic leadership and for a lifetime of self-directed learning. It should prepare our students not only for their first job, but for their last job. It should be at the same time both timely and timeless. In addition to our undergraduate curriculum, we must ensure that our law program and our other graduate programs are broadly accessible and represent both high standards of quality and alignment with the needs of our region. Finally, today's demand for learning across the lifespan requires us to expand our offerings to what I call the just-in-time education market. The demand for just-in-time education is often not related to degrees or credit. Rather, it is the need to learn in order to remain current in one's job, to prepare for a new job, or simply develop additional skills and perspectives that will assist learners in their various adult responsibilities. Today, access to the university must be approached from a lifelong learning perspective. Northern Kentucky University is well positioned in this regard, but much more needs and will be done. In particular, we must aggressively position the university to address the workforce education and training needs of this metropolitan region. It was the #1 issue in all of the regional conversations, and we must be a part of the solution. It is time that we become both more creative in taking the campus to the learner, as well as expecting the learner to always come to the campus. A good example is our commitment to take the university to Grant County beginning this next fall. We all know that technology has revolutionized our capacity to take the campus to the learner in both real-time and asynchronous modes. Exciting opportunities exist for us to participate in the development of the Commonwealth Virtual University. However, after listening to the voices of those whom we serve, it is clear to me that while technology can support and enrich the learning process, as well as create greater flexibility for both teacher and learner, it cannot replace the up-close and personal relationship on which higher learning is based and to which our faculty are so deeply committed. Our approach to the virtual university should be to integrate aspects of high tech and high touch in ways that bring the greatest benefit to the learner. Our approach to the virtual university must be to tailor the learning for the learners, and one size will never fit all. In the future, our commitment to expanded access should include becoming less dependent on the semester system and more flexible in offering courses and programs in the evenings, on weekends, in concentrated formats, and combining self-directed and structured learning. There's nothing sacrosanct about the semester system. Let's begin by asking our learners when they would like to learn, and then structure ourselves accordingly. As part of our commitment to access, I propose that the university commit itself to serve the learning needs of our graduates throughout their lifetime. Chairman Poston indicated earlier that 88% of our students come from this region and 85% of our graduates remain in this region. We should say to our students when they arrive on our campus that we will be there for you now and we will be there for you the rest of your life. Finally, in order to expand access even more broadly, we should build partnerships with other post-secondary institutions in order to expand metropolitan access to programs and services that may not be available here on our own campus. My vision for NKU is that we will also be a publicly engaged campus. The metropolitan area should be an extended campus for learning. We must engage the major economic, social, educational, and civic issues of the day in a way that not only supports regional development and quality of life, but also enriches and expands the learning opportunities available to our students. Our students should be studying not only in our classrooms and laboratories, but also throughout this region in order to gain experience in their chosen careers and deepen their understanding of civic responsibility and service. We should work to expand our partnerships with business and industry, with P-12 education, with healthcare organizations, with local government, community-based organizations in a way that both benefits the community and enhances our academic mission. Both need to be present. True partnerships between the university and the community are based on a belief that each has something to teach the other and each has something to learn from the other. In the 21st century, Northern Kentucky University should be a learning hub in the same way that our airport is a transportation hub. We should link our region not only with the intellectual resources available on our campus, but we should link them as well to the worldwide intellectual resources necessary for economic development and quality of life in our region. And that, along with creative and intellectual freedom, which is so fundamental to every university, we will recognize our responsibility My vision for NKU is that we will have a university that is committed to intellectual and creative freedom as an essential component of our university. We must realize that intellectual and creative freedom is at the cornerstone of any university, and it requires us to be leaders in teaching the truth, to inspire, to motivate, to stimulate. Intellectual freedom is what will drive our university. My vision as well is for NKU that we will be a university committed to multiculturalism as both an educational and civic priority. We live and compete in a world that is increasingly multicultural and international in its perspective. If we hope to offer a truly 21st century learning environment, we must ensure that we are a campus that acknowledges differences, celebrates differences, supports differences, and learns from our differences. Multiculturalism is not an end in itself. It is a means through which we both enhance learning and prepare learners to live and work in an increasingly diverse and multicultural world. And finally, my vision for this university is that in these times of university reform and realignment, we will be an institution that supports innovation and encourages bold thinking. I sometimes think that the greatest challenge confronting universities is to reach beyond our own conventional ways of thinking and behaving. If we are to thrive in the next century, we must reach beyond conventional approaches. I can think of no better example of that than the work of our science faculty to create a truly integrative, hands-on general education curriculum. Their commitment to not only integrative science, but to the design of a science building that reflects this integration in form and in structure represents the type of bold thinking that will carry us into this next century. We must create an institutional environment that supports, encourages, and rewards bold and creative thinking about every dimension of our work. The times demand it. This, then, is my vision for Northern Kentucky University as we approach the 21st century. One might ask the question, what will it require to achieve it? It will require us, first and foremost, to become a learning organization, an organization that embraces new insights and new understandings, is not afraid of change, is willing to translate learning into action. One of my favorite quotes is from the famous longshoreman philosopher Eric Hoffer, who wrote, "In times of change, the learners will prosper, whereas the learned will be dealing with a world that no longer exists." In times of change, the learners will prosper, whereas the learned will be dealing with a world that no longer exists. We must not fall victim to that trap. Our future depends upon all of us being learners. Building a 21st century university will require us to look beyond our problems and focus on our opportunities. Like all universities, we confront a broad range of formidable challenges. Our resources are limited, our costs continue to accelerate, salaries need improving, space needs expanding, equipment needs replacing, classrooms need updating, roofs need replacing, and the list goes on and on and on. However, it is clear to me from watching what's developing at dozens of universities throughout this nation that the future will belong to those institutions that focus not on their limitations but on their opportunities. Indeed, through boldness and creativity and the willingness to think anew about who they serve and how they serve them, they are creating their own opportunities. It is also clear to me that the public doesn't care much about our problems. They have their own problems to think about. What they do care about, and what we must care passionately about, is how well the public is served. Building a 21st century university will require all of us to commit to a shared university vision that transcends disciplinary and administrative boundaries, and it will require the strong support of the community that we serve. They must see us not as a public expense, but as a public investment, an investment in themselves and their own future. I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have the capacity to become a truly preeminent 21st century metropolitan university, to shape our future in 21st century terms, not simply to parrot the traditional academic models and approaches, but to invent new models and new approaches based on our own view of the future and our place in it, to be bold, to think in new ways, to challenge ourselves and each other, to at times risk failure because of the ambitiousness of our dreams. That's what times demand, that's what the public expects, and it's what we should expect of ourselves. It will require leadership. Universities today, far too often, are well managed but not well led. They are well managed but not well led. Too many universities need leadership and don't have leadership. Leadership is about learning how to shape the future. It exists when people are no longer victims of circumstances, but participate in creating new circumstances. In the words of Robert Greenleaf, the essence of leadership is the desire to serve one another and to serve something beyond ourselves, a higher purpose. This is the leadership that must permeate our campus. It must be part of every department and every college and every classroom and every administrative unit All must shoulder the responsibility for leadership as we move into the future. Finally, it seems to me, in the most fundamental sense, the achievement of our vision will take love. Will take love. It will take love for our learners, love for the special work that we do, and love for this special university. 20 years ago, one of the nation's great university presidents, Father Theodore Hesburgh of Notre Dame, offered advice to new university presidents that I would like to close with today. He wrote, "First, always do the right thing. Not what's easiest, not what will cost the least, not what will make you the most popular. Based on what you know, do what's right. Do what's right. Second, have courage. Be prepared to stand alone if necessary. There will be times when it will be necessary. Be prepared. You can't please anyone." Maybe somebody, but not everyone. Third, don't think that you can do everything. You can't. Have faith in yourself and have faith in those around you. Fourth, don't think of yourself as indispensable. You're not. The day you leave, someone else will be doing your job and probably doing it better. Humility is not simply a nice virtue. Father Hesburgh says it's the truth. Finally, be human. Be human. No matter how difficult the circumstances, treat others with dignity, with humane sensitivity, with consideration, and with compassion. Father Hesburgh's advice, it seems to me, is as timely today to this new president as it was 20 years ago. It is advice that I will do my best to follow while the president of this university. Now let us join together, faculty, staff, students, alumni, community, regents, and let's build a truly 21st century metropolitan university, one that challenges the intellect like never before, one that touches the spirit like never before, and one that serves the dreams of generations and generations to come. It can be done right here on this Highland Heights campus. It will be done here on this Highland Heights campus, and we'll do it, and we'll do it together. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Let's not use too much of that energy now. Thank you.
Thank you, President Votruba, for sharing your vision. And let me conclude this program by saying this. We are truly honored to call you our president, but we are more honored when you and Rachel refer to Northern Kentucky as your home and you refer to us as your friends and neighbors. And that attitude is why this is a great place to live. At the conclusion of the alma mater, will the audience please remain standing and wait until the platform party, faculty, and delegates have recessed from the hall. There's also a reception that will be held in the foyer gallery of the Corbett Theater immediately following the ceremony, and there will be signage and ambassadors to direct everyone to the reception. Will you please rise and join in the singing of the alma mater? You will find the words printed on the back cover of your program booklet, and thank you for attending.